Do you also want to improve your life and dream of living like those people who are successful in their lives? Do you also wish to become rich in life? In this summary, you will get to know about a new way of thinking which will help you to find out. Know what kind of lifestyle the most successful people of the world follow by understanding how winners win. You too can become a winner by changing your thinking pattern. Hello friends, welcome to Rise Inspire audiobook channel. Today's book summary is The Art of Thinking in Systems. Are you also one of those people who always look for ways to get rid of their problems? But problems never end. Do you think that to bring improvements in life, it is also necessary to change your thinking? Well, no. If this is the case, then let us tell you that the author of this book, Stephen Schuster, has also faced the same problem in his personal life. Therefore, in this book, he has given the solution of every problem related to life. In this, you will learn how to change your traditional way of thinking and adopt a better way of thinking, so that you can solve the problems of your life in a better and new way than before. Your new mentality will help you to see life from a different perspective, and you will be able to find a permanent and better solution for every problem of life, and you will be able to improve every negative aspect of your life. You will learn about 5 types of thinking and how to evolve to solve big problems. You will also get a checklist by which you can check how big your problem is. Know this summary will not only offer temporary changes, but will also give you tips that will change your life forever. So first of all, we will understand what is systems thinking before we know what is systems thinking. It is more important to know what is the meaning of the word system. System means a set of interconnected procedures that work together to form a specific pattern. Systems always give the same result. So by changing the system of your task, you can also change the result. Systems thinking is a concept which was first introduced by Barry Richmond in 1987. This card is to understand the systems that we follow to do a task. Only by understanding these systems, we can bring the necessary changes for better results. Systems thinking is important because with this we will be able to solve some of our problems permanently. If we look at the issues of our society, such as addiction, we can notice the extent to which these problems affect our lives. By following a new perspective to understand the world, we can identify the system. We can also solve many of our problems by studying the connection between these different causes and their effects. Like any new habit, systems thinking is a skill that can be developed over time. Know that whenever you face a problem, in order to make smart and creative connections between events, you have to develop the habit of asking what if. To stop the first solution that immediately comes to your mind to solve the problem, you need to be conscious and practice. With game is different. It is useful for finding out of the box and creative solutions to problems. Let us take some examples so that we can understand systems thinking in a better way, which is the inside of this book. There used to be a teacher. For his teaching approach, he always used to use live demonstrations so that he could explain new concepts to his students. One day, when he was taking a physics class, Stephen decided to bring a boomerang to explain to his students. The boomerang was kept inside a box. As soon as Stephen took the boomerang in his hand, he immediately threw it, and it came back to him. Stephen asked his student, "Tell me, why did the boomerang come back?" The student said, "Because you threw it, sir." On this, Stephen picked up the box of the boomerang and threw it too with the same force and the same technique, but the box did not come back. Rather, it fell on the ground after going some distance. Now Stephen asked the student, "Why did this box not come back?" "I threw it like a boomerang." When the students could not answer this question, Stephen explained that the way he threw both the boomerang and the box had nothing to do with them jumping in the air. Rather, it was the difference in their structure, due to which the boomerang came back, while the box fell to the ground. The boomerang is curved and flat in shape, so it came back as soon as it was thrown in the air. Systems thinking is also like this. How do structures work and how are things made? No. If we understand this, then we can bring some necessary changes so that we can get some control over the way they behave. If we look at the history of the elements of systems thinking, we can see that most people do not learn anything from the past because they are unable to see the events in terms of systems. For example, if a civilization is getting destroyed, what people do is that they change the leader and elect a new leader. But just by changing the leader, you cannot create a new and better society unless you change the old system or pattern. If you really want to bring about a change, then first change the system and pattern. What we call a system has 3 important parts. First is the elements. These are the variables that play an important role in creating a system. Second, every system has interconnections, which are relationships that connect different elements. Third, we have a function or purpose for which every system has been created. For example, if we take the human body as a system, then we can see that its different organs like brain, lungs, and heart, etc., are its elements. Interconnection is the connection that connects every organ to another. This connection can be the natural flow of blood or oxygen. When we talk about the function of these connections, we will know that the flow of blood and oxygen play an important role in delivering energy and nutrition to every part of the body. We can take another example. If we talk about a school, we can notice that its elements are students, teachers, and staff members. The interconnections of the school are the rules that guide the relationship between all these people. These rules tell how one element should communicate with the other element. Now, for the purpose of the school system, we will know that schools are organizations that are created to give valuable skills and knowledge to students and prepare them for various jobs in the future. If you want to make a big change in a system, then you also have to identify its interconnections and give it a new shape. It is easy to change the elements because they are visible and can be easily changed. However, changing connections is difficult because sometimes it is very difficult to find deep interconnections, which takes a lot of effort to find. Changing the purpose of a system can also have a huge impact. So if you also want to change a system, do not focus only on changing the elements, but go deeper and try to change the interconnections and purpose of the system. And with this, let's know further. Know about types of thinking. Does your mind follow the same approach in every situation? You might not be aware of the different types of thinking patterns, but it is true that our thinking also changes according to the situation. First comes linear thinking. This is the most commonly used type of thinking, which we know since childhood. This thinking tells us that every cause has an effect, every problem has a solution, and every start has a finishing point. Linear thinking is easy and helps us to find an immediate solution to any problem. However, it can only work on the surface, i.e., the upper level cause. Therefore, linear thinking is not useful where a big problem has to be solved. The second is event-oriented thinking. This thinking is also quite similar to linear thinking. Events are those incidents which have already happened, or those whose occurrence we wait for in the future. Event-oriented thinking teaches us that to change the effect of any event, we have to change the cause, and in this way the event will take a different direction. Like linear thinking, event-oriented thinking is fast, but it is not as effective in solving complicated problems. Thirdly, we talk about lateral thinking. This type of thinking is a little more creative. So in this we try to find out-of-the-box solutions, which we can repeat to solve future problems. Know that lateral thinking is a little more complex, and often we get innovative products or new ideas from it. There is one drawback in this type of thinking, and that is that the result is not clear in it. After thinking a lot, you can get many solutions to the same problem. Fourth is critical thinking. This type of thinking is used when logical or objective analysis of a problem is involved. Critical thinkers often look for deep solutions, and they try to evaluate their thinking patterns by not just thinking about the problem. Knowledge. If a critical thinker feels that there is a lack in his thinking, then he tries to improve it with a more creative approach so that he can solve those problems more deeply. The fifth is systems thinking knowledge. This is an art in which we try to see the problem in terms of system and structure. Every problem has some interconnected elements which are for a specific purpose. Systems thinking teaches us how we can change the result of something by making a difference in its elements and the interconnection of its system. Systems thinking is considered to be a more useful type of thinking. Your knowledge about these types of thinking may vary. You may not even know that such thinking exists, or maybe you are a pioneer or an expert in systems thinking. So learning about different types of thinking will be very useful for you. If you start observing your thinking patterns, you will see that you're used to using the same type of thinking because it seems easier to you. Of course, it may seem easy, but you should try to move forward and keep evolving. So in this chapter, you should learn about different types of thinking and also try to use some of them in different situations. Know how to shift from linear thinking patterns to systems thinking in the previous chapter. You learned about 5 types of thinking that you can use to solve your daily problems. Know and you have learned that you have to bring variety in your thinking approach and also try to know and identify your problem and change its result by using systems thinking. In this chapter, you will learn a lot more about systems thinking from linear thinking. The first step is to study the problem in front of you. See if it is a simple problem or a symptom of a complex problem. If the problem is simple, then you can solve it easily by using linear thinking. But if the problem is more serious, then you will have to use systems thinking. You have to study its elements and the interconnections due to which this problem has come. This approach will help you not only to identify external symptoms, but also to solve complex problems. Rather, it will help you solve the real problem once and for all by determining if the problem is big enough or not. Here are the 8 questions you need to pay attention to. Is the problem so big that it will take a lot of time to solve it? Are others around you avoiding solving this problem? Have you tried to solve this problem before but cannot? Are you feeling any emotional resistance to solving this problem? Is there a clear repeating pattern to this problem? Instead of fixing this problem, will you continue to ignore it? Are you afraid to face this problem? Have you tried to solve this problem before, but a new problem cropped up instead? If the answers to these questions are yes, then your problem is quite deep, and systems thinking will be needed to solve it. Many times you will have to face a strong resistance to change our way of doing things. You can think of a deep problem as a dinner party. In this book, the author tells about his family's Christmas celebration. Steven's family was quite big, and often the whole family gathered for Christmas dinner. There was no discussion on the topic of politics at Christmas dinner. Family members prefer to spend time laughing and having fun instead of debating on different political views. Actually, everyone had decided together that there would be no political discussion in the family dinner party. If the family kept the political topic away from their dinner party, it would not matter to anyone. This was a small decision that was taken with everyone's consent. But just think, what would have happened if you were running a big corporation, where such topics keep coming up and you try to avoid these topics so that your employees' feelings are not hurt, or your employees avoid them so that you do not feel bad? It is very important to study systems thinking from linear thinking. The bigger the problem, the greater the risk, especially when you are facing such problems which are directly affecting your family and business. Therefore, to solve your big problems and eradicate them from the root, try to follow systems thinking in your life. Now let's talk about the next chapter. Why do the rich become richer? If you are also a common man, then this thought must be coming to your mind that why rich people keep on becoming richer while the poor keep on becoming poorer. In this chapter, we will try to explain a concept called competitive exclusion, which the author feels is responsible for the discrimination happening in this society. Competitive exclusion is a prickly subject. Suppose there are 2 students who sit in the same competition. The first student wins and gets an award. Now this award can be anything: money, scholarship, or business opportunity. Each of these awards will help the student to progress further in life, and in future he will be richer than the second student. So by winning just one competition, the first student will keep on progressing more than the second student throughout his life. In other words, winners will keep on winning, and losers will keep on losing. If we take the example of college football, we can see that in every game the same 2 teams reach the final. Know that to win a championship, for teams need to reach the final competition. Why do the same 2 teams always reach the final every year? The reason behind this is competitive exclusion. These 2 teams start just like any other team, but as they win matches, they gain more advantages over the others. For example, we see winning teams on TV. This gives them more fame, and their fan following also increases, due to which they start getting more sponsorships. Now, obviously, all these things will increase their income. These winning teams get more attention because the media shows them in a big way, and it shows that they have the best players of the competition. Winners are showered with money, and hence they are able to hire the best coaches, train in the best gyms, and go to the best schools. Due to all these reasons, the winning team becomes the dream of every good player. In this way, every year more good players keep coming, due to which this winning team becomes even stronger and reaches an almost unbeatable level. So in this way, the winning team keeps moving forward because it keeps getting advantage and opportunity. This is the reason why winners always remain winners and losers always remain losers. But how do we defeat this system, and how? Eliminate this discrimination in the society if you adopt system thinking mentality. Then you can also join the winners. If you are also competing with someone, then first study them and see how they have reached the top. So always try to adapt yourself according to your environment and try to create a new system. No, do not be afraid to evolve and experiment. If you cannot do this, then remember that you will never be able to come out of the rank of losers. The next chapter is the takeaway from systems thinking. If we say that systems thinking is an art of looking at life from a different perspective, won't it be wrong? Completely different from the traditional thinking method. Systems thinking is a more evolved way of thinking, in which the problem is studied in depth so that more effective and permanent solutions can be found. To adopt the systems thinking mentality, first of all, the situation in which you are stuck has to be observed deeply. Then, try to understand its structure by identifying the repeating pattern of that situation. To study a system, you have to look at its elements. You need to check the interaction between these elements and find out their purpose. By identifying the different elements of a system, you can make the necessary changes, or if you find a system that has been successful for others, you can copy its structure so that it can be useful for you too. By learning about systems thinking, you will learn how to do everything in a better way. Now, since systems thinking teaches you to think more creatively, the chances of tackling any task and improving it are much higher. Systems thinking also teaches you how your brain works. And how can we change the entire outcome of any event with a different choice? By controlling your choices, you can control the negative effects of your actions so that they do not impact your life as much, as a result of which your life becomes more positive and productive. No systems thinking also teaches you responsibility. Often when people face a problem, they start blaming someone else. But by adopting the systems thinking approach, you start taking responsibility for your actions yourself and try to study the structure and results of any problem in depth. Only after studying the problem, you will be able to observe all its elements, and perhaps you will also realize that the problem you are so afraid of is just a small part of a bigger problem, which needs to be solved as soon as possible. Systems thinking will help you find creative solutions. Know who will uproot the problem from its roots. Let us take the example of healthcare system and see how systems thinking helps in improving the quality of life. Earlier, when something went wrong, the entire blame was put on the doctors, and the doctor or nurse who was treating the patient was blamed for it. By giving punishment, it was assumed that such a mistake would not be repeated in the future. In the last few years, a new way of thinking has emerged which looks at medical mistakes from a different perspective, instead of blaming someone else. Now the hospital staff has started evaluating its medical system. By finding the problems in its system, the hospital noticed that fixing these problems would be more effective than punishing any doctor or nurse. After doing systems analysis, the problems that came to them were: the staff was getting tired due to overwork, medicines were wrongly labeled, and doctors were giving wrong instructions, etc. Although mistakes are made by humans only, it is equally true that the solution to any problem will not come out by blaming someone else. So if we look at the healthcare system, doctors and nurses are very honest about their mistakes, which gives the system better chances to improve and grow. As you can see, systems thinking is a very effective type of thinking that can improve any aspect of our lives. Systems thinking is a more evolved type of thinking that requires conscious awareness of the different structures of life. It is a system that connects different elements to predict results. After applying the art of systems thinking to life, you can also manipulate these elements and their connections to get the results you want. In this summary, you learned how to evolve your thinking. No. First of all, you read about the 3 elements of systems thinking. These elements are variable interconnection and purpose or function. Secondly, you learned about 5 types of thinking. These are linear event-oriented lateral critical and system thinking according to the situation and your need. You can choose any thinking. Thirdly, you learned how to move from linear thinking to systems thinking because bigger problems require more complicated thinking patterns. Therefore, systems thinking is the best approach. Fourthly, knowledge. You learned why the rich always become richer. You learned that competitive exclusion gives special advantage, due to which winners keep winning and losers keep losing, and to defeat it, you will need systems thinking so that the pattern of winners can be studied so that you can also apply it. If you want to become a winner, then you'll have to think like winners, but to think like a winner, you will also have to understand their system. Using systems thinking will help you a lot in this, and it will change your present and future. This will help you, your team, and your business to win like a winner.